Welcome to EVTN News. Today I identify as that weird costume immigrant thing that was in St. Peter's Basilica or St. Peter's Square. Uh, so I would definitely check that out if I were you. It was some immigrant costume. It was like a 10 feet tall. It wasn't really a statue. It was just like a costume. Anyway, um, we're gonna get right into the news here. Pope Francis looks like he slammed the Slovakia Nuncio. He said to the bishops and priests of Slovakia, I received a letter from a bishop recently which said, we lived 400 years under the Turks and then 50 years under communism, and we suffered, but these 7 years with this nuncio have been worse than the other two experiences. So he read this out loud to the bishops and priests of Slovakia. Okay. He said, sometimes I ask myself how many people can say the same thing about their own bishop or about their parish priest. How many people? Without freedom, things never work out. That's true. So free the Latin Mass. That'd be a good start. Pope Francis, he visited Slovakia and Hungary's conservative president, and Francis sort of went back and forth. Francis promoted open border immigration, and the Hungarian president and sort of kind of responded, saying that he should close the border or keep the borders closed. And in Slovakia, Pope Francis didn't waste an opportunity to tell all the priests not to be rigid. So rigidity is the biggest problem facing our world, according to the Francis Church. And for more on that, if you want to check out Frank Walker's Canon 212 website, he has a lot of quotes and a lot of articles about Pope Francis's visit to these two countries. So check that out. I don't have that in the links. What I do have in the links in the description are a whole lot of other things. We're moving on to the Synod on Synodality. So the information was released on the Vatican's website, and the pillar had sort of a summary of this. And so there's some quotes that they've pulled, and I'm going to read a few of them today. They said, this journey, which follows in the wake of the Church's renewal proposed by the Second Vatican Council, is both a gift and a task. By journeying together and reflecting together on the journey that has been made, the Church will be able to learn through her experience uh, which processes can help her to live communion, to achieve participation, to open herself to mission. Okay, so basically a lot of Vatican II talk here. A lot of the dialogue, using communion as a noun, how to live communion. I don't know. And then let's read further down. Together, all the baptized are the subject of the sensus fidelium, the living voice of the people of God. At the same time, in order to fully participate in the act of discerning, it is important for the baptized to hear the voices of the other people in their local context, including people who have left the practice of the faith, people of other faith traditions, people of no religious belief, etc. What? So we need to listen to those of other faiths or those with no faith at all. Like, so we need to adapt our church. We need them to help the church on her synodal journey. All right, so I reject synodality. Synodality says it sounds like synodality is a heresy. Um. Okay, so we're going, and then the next paragraph. While the baptized are specifically called to take part in the synodal process, no one, no matter their religious affiliation, should be excluded from sharing their perspective and experiences insofar as they want to help the church on her synodal journey of seeking what is good and true. This is especially true of those who are most vulnerable or marginalized. So we're changing our religion to the poor. So Pope Francis he's always talks about the poor, and we are, I mean, as Catholics, it is our duty to help the poor for sure, um, with our contributions and everything. But it almost seems like you're outside of the church if you're not doing what some marginalized group wants you to do, no matter whether they're Catholic or not. So this synodal path certainly sounds heretical. It sounds like there's nothing good coming from it, and Vatican II, yeah, it's continuing along that path. And as you can see, the statistics of Vatican II really are not very encouraging, but this is what Francis wants to do to the church, destroy it. It seems like. Now, when I was reading this, in the back of my mind, what came to mind was the Amazon Synod, the people of the Amazon, because they are pagans, and so I it certainly seems like Pope Francis wants the church to adapt the liturgy for for the ideals of the Amazon people and other pagans. So that's that. Okay. So an African priest was suspended for asking Pope Francis to resign. This story, I actually, the more I read into it, the stranger it got. So Father Abe Janvier Gabeno, a 41-year-old African priest born in Benin and living in the Ivory Coast, his the name he was given, I guess, for his order was Father Jesus Mary. He was a member of Opus Dei, and he was suspended in March of this year after last November criticizing Pope Francis' support of civil unions of LMNOP couples and asking him to correct his position or resign. So this priest asked Pope Francis to resign. He's not allowed to celebrate public masses or preach or to hear confessions, and he was also told to leave the Opus Dei residence, of course, because this priest is asking Pope Francis to just endorse the Catholic faith. And Opus Dei wanted to kick him out. And we pray for more Opus Dei members, more Opus Dei priests to, publicly state what's going on in the church. Scott Hahn's Opus Dei, and he kind of tiptoes around certain things. And we pray that people like this, and also Archbishop Gomez of Los Angeles is Opus Dei. So we pray for these people to speak out publicly about the nonsense that's going on in Rome. Unfortunately, I don't feel like it will be very many. Opus Dei seems to be very powerful, and this priest, though, he kind of ditched his probably a pretty good Opus Dei lifestyle to stand up for his faith. So gotta give him credit for that. There was an FSSP priest who was forced out of his parish. A German priest we transferred to the Czech Republic after the parish where he was allowed to say the Latin Mass reported him to the diocese for crimes against LMNOP and the Virus Church. So Father Michael Rahm had the permission to celebrate 2 masses each Sunday at St. Michael Catholic Church in Recklinghausen, as well as 1 mass each Thursday at a different church. Representatives of the parish council called Rahm's questions. He had some questions that he was talking about the Virus Church, and they called his questions deliberate false statements and conspiracy myths. In an apparent reference to people practicing LMNOP, they said that groups of people are discriminated against that we as a community would like to encounter openly. So I'm guessing that this church was not an exclusively FSSP parish. I'm just going to assume that because I don't think the parish council would support LMNOP, but it is Germany, and so you never know. But I would say a priest being transferred from Germany to Czech Republic probably have a better chance of the Catholic faith in Czech Republic. I'm sure the Catholic faith is still in Germany. It's just very difficult to find where that's at. I mean, I know that they have good guys like Mueller who, stands up for the Catholic faith, and Brand Mueller as well. But yeah, we'll see. So there was a Gloria TV article about admission to the AltRight seminaries could be suspended. So this comes from a quote. It says, the Vatican has not officially announced apostolic visitations to the AltRight communities. Sorry, but we have received this information from sources we consider reliable. Father Benoit Paul Joseph, the superior of the French district of the FSSP, told a French publication. So he said, what worries us, listen to this quote, what worries us is the unofficial and unverified information according to which it is possible that prior to these visitations, admissions to our seminaries and novitiates will be suspended. So that kind of came out of nowhere. But if he has the feeling that that's going to be the case, then there's probably some truth to that because he's a superior and he knows what's going on. So that's definitely something to watch for. China ordained another bishop. The Chinese government ordained another bishop. Bishop Francis Qing Kui, age 57, is the sixth bishop to be consecrated in China since the Holy See signed a provisional agreement with the Chinese government. He's the bishop of Wuhan, China. All right, a virus bishop. And so the pillar had something interesting to say about this. Customarily, episcopal appointments are announced in the Vatican's daily news bulletin, usually months before bishops are actually consecrated and installed. Bishop Kui's appointment was not announced that way. Instead, the director of the Vatican press office, Matteo Bruni, released a brief statement Wednesday confirming the bishop's appointment and consecration. Bruni made the statement in response to questions from journalists and said the bishop's appointment had been made by Pope Francis on June 23rd of this year. The Vatican offered no explanations as to why the appointment was not announced by the Vatican in June, why it had not appeared on the day's list of resignations and appointments, and whether Pope Francis had actually approved it. So we're just finding out now about this Chinese bishop who was consecrated. And there's speculation, there's heavy speculation that the reason that we found out about it so late is because China did it without permission of the Vatican. And that's kind of what we expected under the Vatican-Chinese deal. So money must be nice. And, that's presumably what the Vatican's getting. Okay, the parish archbishop shuts down 10 Latin masses. Archbishop Michel Alpetit of Paris served his priests with a September 8th letter which he kept secret from the public and in which he announced that he will allow only 5 Latin masses out of about 15 currently celebrated in his large diocese. One of his quotes, "I hope that in order to promote communion, the priests will be called to open both missals." So what's the need for that? If more people want the Latin Mass, yeah, I don't know. Okay. So, did Cardinal Gregory convert to the Catholic faith? I'm going to read some quotes, and it was very surprising. And then we'll read into it a little more. Actually, there's a lot here. So he says, the Catholic Church teaches and has taught that human life begins at conception. He said this at the Wednesday luncheon in Washington. He said, so the president is not demonstrating Catholic teaching. How about that? He proceeded to a question about capital punishment, and he explained the consistent life ethic of his mentor, the late Cardinal Joseph Bernardine of Chicago. So now we're getting into this. Now we're getting into the real stuff here. He said the conception of a child is the first concern, adding that those life issues have to extend to all the other moments of human existence as well, such as to prisoners, immigrants, elderly people with handicaps. So it's saying we support, oh yeah, like pro-life's important. Oh, but we can't forget about these other issues. And this is Cardinal Bernardine. I'm going to reference Cardinal Bernardine. Well, what did Cardinal Bernardine do? Communion in the hand, LMNOP, open LMNOP. I mean, it wasn't a secret at all. And then let me get to this last paragraph I have with Cardinal Bernardine. He said, is he, Bernardine, saying that a prisoner that has been found guilty of multiple criminal behavior, is he to be equated with an infant in the womb who is just trying to live or to be born literally? Oh no, he's not saying that. He's saying that they are linked not because they are the same, but because they are all human. And so Cardinal Gregory says, oh, well, Biden's not just demonstrating Catholic teaching on one hand, but on the other hand, maybe he is. So you can see he's tiptoeing around this. Is he going to deny Biden communion? No. So I don't know. It seems. I'm sure he's doing his typical political kind of speech and everything. It's surprising that he even tentatively publicly criticized Biden, but I don't expect any harsher criticisms or anything like that. I think that's probably going to be the end of what we see. Just a comment from Cardinal Gretsch on synodality. He says, if the church does not assume the style of synodality, it will not be church. So what does that mean? It means that Cardinal Gretsch believes in a different religion than I do. So that's that. There's a French TikTok priest who endorsed LMNOP activity, Father Matthew Jasseron, 36. He misled the public in a TikTok video August 25th by explaining why practice LMNOP is definitely not a sin. The only thing that's going to get you kicked out, suspended from the priesthood in France is if you say the Latin Mass. I think that's pretty clear. You can, promote the LMNOP, but if you're on TikTok, that's fine. But okay, moving on. Guyana bishop closes churches rather than submit to jab mandates. So this bishop is from South America, Guyana, and it's the northern part of South America. Bishop Francis Aline, he's a Benedictine, Bishop of Georgetown in Guyana, issued a letter September 9th in response to the recent virus-related restrictions on the country. Such an order means that many of our brothers and sisters at this time will not be allowed entry into our churches, he wrote. We ought not to leave part of the body detached from the whole. Therefore, in solidarity with these brothers and sisters, and beginning on Friday, the 10th of September, we will conduct all our worship virtually and refrain from gathering in any number. Our churches will be closed for public worship until further notice. This was on LifeSite News, and they said that he wasn't necessarily, he kind of promoted the jab, and so it wasn't a decision to shut down churches because of jab mandates. It was actually a decision to shut down churches. I don't know, maybe he's just terrified of the virus. That's definitely something to consider. And actually, who knows if the bishops shut down masses, what's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, will it happen here? I don't know. So I did get a late, I see in the comments, I did get a late news story about Jab Crow Stowe, how he, I guess he called out his priests for not being jab, and I'm going to have to look more into that. That might actually be worth a full video. There's this RJC, and this is Ember Week in the traditional calendar, not next week, which is Ember Week in the Vatican II calendar. So that's a reminder for everyone. Hi, Patty. Okay. They paid for $2 billion worth of bishops. He's talking about China. Hi, Aaron. And if I bribe the Chinese, can I become a Sedevacantis bishop? For the right price, you could become a Sedevacantis pope in China. So that works. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. That was a big rundown of news events. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm glad to browse Canon 212 and always see what's going on. So, okay, thank you everyone for tuning in. I see a lot of people on the live chat. This is great. It's always nice to have that. But this is going to be it for the EVTN news. I almost forgot about Archbishop Vigano. So hopefully Archbishop Vigano is doing well. I hope he kind of goes somewhere publicly and says the Latin Mass. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, this has been EVTN News. Thank you so much for watching. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.